Welcome back, everyone, to another Kings of War Battle Report. I'm Visibly Riley, and after the end of Cascade Clash, we've got it all wrapped up. I was looking at my ogres, and I went, I'm just tired of playing ogres right now. I mean, I've been painting ogres, I've been playing with ogres, I've been breathing ogres for the past month or so. So I decided I don't want to really play with an elite army, I don't want to play with big models, I just want a pile of regiments. And so I brought out the Ratkin tonight. So this battle is Ratkin versus Salamanders. Starting off, we've got the Salamander list. Excuse me. This was piloted by my good friend Adam, who you've seen on the channel before, and in fact you've seen this list before, but let's run through it anyway. Starting off, we've got a horde of Salamander Primes with Blessing of the Gods. Then we've got 2 hordes of Fire Elementals, a horde of Gekkotas Sky Raiders with Jar of 4 Winds, a horde of Rhinosaurs with a Caterpillar Potion, a Commandant, 3 Lachilodons, a Herald with Loot, the 2 Mage Priests, both with Martyr's Prayer, 1 with Inspiring Talisman, 1 with Surge, and then lastly a Clan Lord on Fire Drake with Wings and the Blade of Slashing. I'm not sure what to say about this list besides, I've seen it so many times now that it's hard for me to be like, oh, I like this idea or I like that idea. It's just the standard Salamanders list to me now. The one thing I would like to see Adam play around with is that named Elite Fire Elemental, the big monster one with the Breath and the Pierce 4. I would love to see that on the table, and I'm not sure exactly what I would take out for it, but, seems like a good pull. Here we see the Ratkin list, or my 1.0 version of Ratkin. Starting off, we've got 10 regiments of Tunnel Slaves. That's a lot. Then we've got 2 hordes of Shock Troops, 1 with Healing Brew, 1 with Warbow. Then we've got 2 hordes of Blight, 2 weapon teams, 2 Warlocks, both with Bane Chant 3, and 1 with the Inspiring Talisman. Then we've got a Swarm Crier with Loot, and a Demon Spawn with Flight. This is my first iteration of this style of list, which is a board control list. It's not a damage list. It doesn't, its plan here is to control. It's not to shoot you, it's not to fight you, it's not to, use magic. It's just to cover the board of my models and go kill them or lose, right? So I'm putting the emphasis on my opponent to roll dice and roll double ones instead of me doing it all the time. So that's the idea. We'll see if it works out. Here's the roll for who goes first. Adam is the green die, I'm the blue die, so he rolls a 3, I roll a 2, and he gets his choice of side. We end up playing Elimination with 3 tokens each, and here we see the end of deployment. Starting with the Salamander side from left to right, we've got that, that green, totally green model in the 50 mil base, that is his Commandant. Then we've got the 2 hordes of Fire Elementals, one in front of the other, and again, Adam is still proxying those Gatormen, and the only Fire Elementals he's built are the ones that I built, so just deal with that. Then we've got the horde of Rhinosaurs, which are the 2 Stegodon models. Then we've got a horde of Salamander Primes right behind the wood there. Behind them is the BSB with the Loot. Then the 3 Lachilodons. Behind that little cottage with his wings poking out, that's the Clan Lord on Fire Drake. And then we've got the horde of Gekkotas Sky Raiders right there in the crater. I like his deployment. I'm not sure, his tableside choice seems like a valid one, as almost every one of his combat units has Pathfinder. Both the Fire Elementals, the Rhinosaurs, and the Salamander Primes all have Pathfinder, so fighting around that wood, especially in Eliminate, seems like a good idea. But the other thing is that I'm on the side I want to be on too, because I can't really deal with the woods. I don't have any Pathfinder. So it depends on whether he wants to play defensive or not. Since he outguns me, I'm guessing that was his plan, was he's just going to play in his deployment zone. So I like his deployment. Moving on to Ratkin deployment, we've got the 2 regiments of slaves right there on the left. 2 of them, those 2 have my first Eliminate tokens. Then to the right of them is the Demon Spawn. And then we've got 8 regiments of slaves, touching. Behind them we've got the 2 hordes of Shock Troops, and it doesn't matter which one is which, as I kind of forgot that they had magic items at all, so they don't play any role. Then next to them, we've got the first horde of Blight. Behind that giant block of rats, we've got the 2 Warlocks. The one on the left has nothing, and the one on the right has the Inspiring Talisman, and the last Eliminate token. To the right of them, we've got... Sorry, still got a bit of a cough. We've got the two weapon teams, and behind them the BSB. And off here to the right, we've got the two remaining regiments of slaves, and behind them the Blight. Now, let's roll a picture back. This deployment, yeah, like I said before, this was that middle of the table is the only place where I could actually fit the majority of my army. And I thought my idea here was that I would fit the big meat of my army right there in the middle, and then I would not envelop, right? This is not a pincer army, because I'm not really trying to do damage. I'm just trying to be all over the board. As this is eliminate, it's not really a great fight for me, I don't think. But yeah, so I don't really need to be everywhere at once, but I could be. Excuse me. I did make a deployment mistake with the two regiments I was going to put tokens on, as I could have just put them on the board edge, probably to the right, to get that forest, and, just make it so his shooting can't even reach me. But while I was deploying, I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, and I had this idea that I was going to deploy over there, and then I realized that marching through that mud would be terrible, with that little, toxic swamp. So I don't end up doing that. Let's move forward. And here we show off the roll for who goes first. And again, Adam has the green die. Rolls a 3 again, I roll a 2 again, and he wins the roll up to go first and takes it, as he's got a lot more shooting, and I think that was the correct decision. Yep, this is probably just showing off that the tokens are over here. Alright, we didn't get to see Salamander's movement for turn 1, but this is the end of Ratkin turn 1, or Ratkin movement, and the Salamanders pretty much just back up or, shift around a little bit to start shooting at my forces. And the Skyriders here take off the first regiment of slaves right there on the left. A little strange, as the right ones were not inspired, so I'm not sure why he shot at the left ones. But he did, and he ends up doing like 9 or 10 wounds to them, so they're off. And, yep, moving on, we've got over here on the right, looks like no damage was dealt to the main line, though, as the Lakildons were out of range and didn't want to move forward, and the Commandant, I think, just missed. So, we've got, I ended up firing the 15 Lightning Bolt into the Rhinosaurs as they have cover, but it's the only place where I can get all 15 shots into one target. I do 5 wounds, which is a 13 to kill them, so no roll. But still, it'll make it so his Martyr's Prayer will need to start spreading those wounds around, and so I guess that was, just something to do. Doesn't really matter one way or the other with these. Yeah, just showing off the 5 wounds. And turn 2. The Salamanders just sort of pull into the center, because that's where pretty much all the rats are. So, Fire Elementals turn towards me. I don't know if the Salamander Primes move forward at all from this turn, but between turn 1 and turn 2, they end up in the middle of the wood. Over here, yeah, we see the Gekota actually back up, because they just, they've got 24-inch bows with the jar, or 24-inch javelins, I guess, with the jar, so they just back up. There's no reason to be forward. Oh, the 3 units for him are these Gekota, the Clan Lord that's right there, and if we back one up, the Rhinosaurs have the last token. So, yeah, those are his eliminate targets. Here we can see the Commandant finally hits, does 3 wounds to one of the slave regiments on the left side behind that pond for me. So, yeah, here's a bit of a mistake I made. I thought that slaves this game were a 9/11 unit and not a 12/14 unit. So I play them as -2 nerve, -2 nerve the whole game. So 3 wounds, I was like, oh no, he only needs to roll an 8 to kill me, and I've got no reroll over there, so unfortunate. Yeah, here he ends up taking off 2 regiments of slaves, and the dice here were pretty crazy. I'm not saying, it's unlikely that he takes out 2 regiments, but with how pensive he was playing, this is insane, because the Clan Lord, with 15 shots, fires at the right gaping hole in my lines, and with 15 shots, I have cover due to the wall there and the building, and he fires at me 13 hits on 5+, 12 wounds, just vaporizes the unit, and I'm like, okay. Then he fires off the Lakildons. They've got 15 shots, hit on 3, so that's 10 hit, and about 8 wounds onto the next slave regiment, and At the time, again, I thought they were 9/11, so I was playing them as 11, what is that, 11/13? So, yeah, they end up getting vaped pretty easily. I'm not sure why I thought they were 9/11. That is an insanely low stat. But I did, so. Yeah, still, the Wakildon, I think they did, like, between 10 and 12 wounds, so I'm not sure it really mattered, but, yeah, some pretty good dice there. So, moving on, we've got the, this is just showing off his Gekota. Sky Raiders end up taking off the last regiment of slaves on the right, so now it's just down to the Blight and the 2 weapon teams and the BSB. And here we see Skaven, Freudian slip there. We see Ratkin turn 2. On the left there, I charged one of my slave regiments into his fire elementals over the wall. So 6 is the hit, but honestly, I just wanted them out of the way, and I don't care if they fail yellow ability and sit behind my army, but it'd be preferable if they were just in front of the fire elementals getting charged. So I send them over there, and then I do something that I think is clever at the time, which is I move my to the right of the fire elemental slaves, those slaves in front of that forest. I moved them and measured it out, so when my shock troops and Blight, who are both in charge range of his prime's charge, the Blight don't enter the woods. Just the shock troops do. And I'm like, haha, I've got him now. So the idea here is that, with 30 attacks on a 4+, and then I can give them Bane Chant, that's much, 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 much better than the 5+. So I think I've got those primes dead to rights. Then I move the rest of the slaves. The bottom 2 slave regiments in the picture here. Those are dead. They're not on the board. I was putting models away as we were playing because it was after work. It was getting late. So ignore those, please. The 2 slave regiments that I haven't talked about, the one in the middle of the board and then the one behind that stone wall, I pretty much just moved them to get them out of the way. I'm not really happy with my movement yet. As I said before, this particular army is just about board presence. So I really need to get into a better habits of moving units around. And hopefully I can, because I think this army has a lot of potential in it. The Blight on the right there, I just sort of wheel around the wood. His Gekota are just going to back away the entire game for me, so I'm never going to catch them, but I can constantly threaten them from where I am right now, and I can threaten his clan lord if he tries to get cheeky. I do something that I do like here, which is when I moved that clan regiment in the center of the table, when I moved them in front of one of my warlocks, I had the choice of my Inspiring Talisman warlock or the regular warlock, and I chose to move it in front of the regular warlock as a trap for his for his clan lord, because the only place he can land and get an unobstructed shot onto my wizard is well within the charge range of my shock troops, and they aren't actually in any way behind that wall, so they will get an unobstructed charge into him, and I don't know. It's not the best. I don't think they can kill him in one go, but once he's grounded and can't shoot, I'm not really worried about it. He'll die in 2 turns. So that was the idea there. Sorry, let's walk one back. The shock troops and the Blight both get Bane Chanted this turn, which is helpful, and I end up doing 15 wounds. Yeah, 15 wounds to the Salamander Primes, which is pretty good, I think. I'm not doing the math in my head right now, but doing 15 wounds, or maybe that isn't good. The Blight alone, that's 15 hits, and then that's 10 wounds because they're wounding. Oh no, they're only wounding on 4s. Yeah, so 7.5. 15's about right. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I only need a 6 to waver them, and wavered is better than nothing. But I roll 9. But he has a reroll due to the banner right behind them, and then I roll a 5. So not only are they not dead, they're also not wavered, and that's super bad for me. So, unfortunate. The slaves that charge into the fire elementals, even on 6s with their 12 attacks, end up sinking 1 wound into them and really sticking it to the man. So, good job, slaves. Turn 3. Here's the Salamanders. Yeah, he's getting ready for the countercharge here. And I look at this picture now and I go, okay, so I like that I trapped my unit so I couldn't I couldn't slide over anymore and the blight aren't obstructed. But if I just swapped the deployment of them, I think that would have been much, much, much stronger, as I basically got to deploy all my combat units after his army was done. And the blight into the wood, sure, they suck, but I want the blight to get charged by his rhinosaurs and by his salamander primes because they're defense 3, so who cares? And then I have ensnare, which might save me, it could happen. So if I just swapped them, that would have been really excellent. The shock troops couldn't have been charged at all, and then he would have had to probably send a Lachilodon into me to stop me from getting the charge off. So, yeah, it's just bad planning by me. Here we can see, I thought the rhinosaurs were in my flank, but I guess he must have measured it while I wasn't, while I was putting away the many dead rats. And, yeah, the rhinosaurs are in the front, which is fine. The shock troops, I have no illusions about whether they're going to stay on the board, but part of a stress test this isn't really a good stress test. That's a 18 attack unit and 3+, 2+, and then a 25 attack reroll 1s on the hit with a 4+, 3+. And he does miss the Bane Chant on the Salamander Prime, so that's funny. But yeah, they shouldn't stand up to this amount of damage on average. So I'm not really worried about it. Here we can see on the left those fire elementals countercharge into my little slaves because slaves are dangerous. And on the right there, the slaves behind the wall, yeah, the Gekota take aim at them and just again, no, sorry, it wasn't the Sky Raiders, it's the Lachilodons. The 3 Lachilodons back up a little bit so they are parallel with each other so they can all shoot. So the 2 back ones actually moved and are shooting over the wall. And he still does like 10 wounds to me. So it's just pretty insane rolling with the hits so far. Yeah, the shock troops easily killed. That's no surprise. The slaves are also killed. Let's roll one back, sorry. The slaves behind that wall are killed. But the slaves against the fire elementals are merely wavered. So, sometimes slaves stay. Oh, I forgot to mention this in the last turn. You can see that sneaky little 4 and a little die holder behind the rhinosaurs. That is on one of his mage priests, and it's because he had taken 3 wounds from Martyr's Prayer. And then I shot him with the demon spawn lightning bolt, and I managed 1 wound through, so that felt great. And I actually got a lucky waiver for this turn, so pretty good. Over here we can see Ratkin turn 3. I send the demon spawn into his Commandant so he can't keep picking on my slaves who have eliminate tokens in the back. It seems like an okay idea at the time, as I kill him off, and then the fire elementals will get the surge charge into me, but it shouldn't be that bad. I mean, they do like 6 wounds on average to him, so banking a little bit, but meh. Here, yeah. Just showing off that the rat can open up excuse me again, my shooting onto the horde of Salamander Primes, easily killed them. I decided not to charge them with the Blight because 5+ to hit, it's just not good enough, and I didn't have any other targets besides the Rhinosaurs to shoot at with my Lightning Bolt, so I just decided to do this. The slaves end up going in front of the Rhinosaurs to try to block their charge, as they need to charge me. I believe they have a flank charge right now onto the Blight, and they can't get there because if they rotate through me, they have to completely clear me when they move, and they'll be going right at that cottage. So, not good enough. Turn 4. Yeah, the salamanders on the left there go back into my slaves that had been wavered. The other salamanders salamanders keep saying that. Fire elementals. The fire elementals that are Gatormen go into my slaves that they had wavered the turn prior. And the other fire elementals turn around for that 1-inch surge charge into my demon spawn. So, that happens. Then, I think he moves the... I don't think he moves anything else. I think this is all about right. Here we can see, yeah, the demon spawn. This is the end of his shooting. So, I'm sorry, let's roll him back. Yeah, he ends up charging me with 1 Lachilodon into my Blight, and that seems like an okay idea. It keeps me on this side of the table, but I'm not sure how that's helping. But anyway, he does it. Yeah, this is the end of mostly his shooting, but also the end of combat. If we start from left to right, we've got that demon spawn on 11 wounds, which is insane, and it's actually even, it's straight crazy. One of the little mage priests rolls up with his fireball 10 and shoots me with it and does 6 wounds with his fireball. That is on 4s and then on 5s to wound, and he gets 6 out of 10, so rough there. Then he gets the surge, obviously, into the rat demon with the other mage priest. He only does 5 wounds, which is a little below average, but still, 11 wounds, 1 turn. I mean, that rat demon is basically dead. So maybe bad placement by me, and then, dice spike to really get that punish through. They don't waver him, though, so we've got that going for us. On the right, we can see, the Rhinosaurs in the middle, they just roll through those slaves and turn to face my army. And on the right, we've got the Gekkotas Sky Raiders decide to shoot into my weapon teams. They do 7 wounds to 1, but they don't actually end up getting the waiver. And I think the Lachilodons fired this turn as well and don't get anything. So, although maybe, so he fired almost everything into this, and otherwise, just didn't do anything. The Lachilodon does 2 wounds to my Blight, which is unfortunate for them, but, it's not really relevant. They've got a -22 right now, so, Over here, just showing off that 11 wounds. So hot. And, the Gatorman Elementals, the Gator Elementals, roll right through that slave regiment. They already had 7 wounds on them from the previous turn, so not, they're the heroes I deserve. Here we see Ratkin turn 4. I move my little weapon team, the one with 8 wounds on it right now. I guess he did 8 wounds, not 7, sorry. The one with 8 wounds on it just ends up backing up a little bit. Actually, this looks like I swapped the wound dice around a little bit. Man, I gotta get some dials. So, it rolls back a little bit because it's wavered, and then the other one rolls forward towards the Gekkotas Sky Raiders, and then the Blight just say, "Charge me in the butt, we don't care." The other Blight countercharge into the Lachilodon that they were fighting. The slaves end up moving over to block the Rhinosaur charge. It's not actually blocked. They could charge my shock troops, but they'll hit that wall and be hindered. And the same thing with the Fire Elementals. He can't combo charge it unless he gets a sneaky surge in here, which I'm not sure is possible with Surge 8. But he can't actually get both the units into combat by doing this. The part I liked here, the wavered weapon team that walks in front of my wizards is there because he can't land with his clan lord if he wants to shoot at me. And by sitting in between there, I think the warlocks are 9/11s, so right now they're 11/13s because they've got the 2 hordes around them with inspiring and stealthy, or not stealthy, but an individual, which I guess does nothing against breath attack. I probably should have gone for it, but anyway, so the idea here is that I'm moderately protected from getting charged or from the Fire Drake. I end up, let's see if this picture shows it up. Yep. So I do 8 wounds to the Gekkotas Sky Raiders with my 10 Lightning Bolt and my 10 weapon team, which is pretty good, but unfortunately I fail to even waver these guys, so, the dice gods giveth and they taketh. In the center here, my Blight charge on the counter charge into this Lachilodon, and they do 6 wounds. I think to be fair, I think they wounded with all of their attacks, because they only hit 6 times out of 30. So, fun there. The Rat Demon with 11 wounds on him. I try some stuff where, I run around, I see if I can go to the left or to the right, and what if that matters, and then I decide in the end it doesn't really matter. Just like the Linkin Park song. And I just go back into the Fire Elementals that charged him. I do 5 wounds, and again, I think I hit with all 5 of those. I think I wounded with all my hits. With 13 attacks on 3s, I hit 5 or 6 times. So, not the best dice. But, again, this is not an army that, it's supposed to do a lot of damage, so I'm definitely piloting it wrong. Turn 5. Actually, let's roll back. If you look at that clock, we actually have a lot of clock for a turn 5 game, and I think it's just because Ratkin, even with how many units I have, I don't really roll attacks. I just move them forward, and they get shot and die, and then I move another one forward, and we just keep doing that forever. So, interesting that. Over here, yep, the Fire Elementals go back into the demon spawn. Should be a pretty easy nab for them there, as he's only a 16-18 with 11 wounds on him already. And, yeah, then he, man, I put these slaves here to make it so the Rhinosaurs have to get a hindered charge, but I put them exactly within 12 of the Fire Elementals. Why have I done this to myself? I could have just backed up a millimeter and it would have been fine, but I didn't measure it, so that's what happens. He chooses not to send the Rhinosaurs into the Blight, and I'm not sure why. That just seems like a mistake, because he charges me with the Lachilodon there, I think. But yeah, just send the Rhinosaurs into the Blight. The Fire Elementals right there are already blocking my Shock Trooper charge, even if they bounce, so there's nothing I can do to them. And they have no wounds on them, so it's not like I'm going to shoot them. I'm not sure what he was thinking here. Yeah, here we're seeing turn 6, because let's roll one back. Yeah, what happens is that he rolls up to my weapon team, or he charges it with his Geckodas Skyriders, and he double ones the break test. So, yeah, it can't shoot, but it's not wavered, so that's funny. I can't see it with anything else. Turn 5. The Blight, yeah, they get charged by that Lachilodon. It doesn't do anything. And then, anyway, the Fire Elementals kill those slaves right there in the front, and the other Fire Elementals kill my demon spawn. So those are all gone, and then they turn to face. My turn 5, I don't have any more pictures besides the one you just saw, but I don't have any more, so I just back up with the shock troops. Maybe I scutter to the left a little bit to get that wall, but I back away from him, and he shoots at my Blight with all of his guns and ends up killing them, the center Blight that we're fighting that Lachilodon, because they still fail to kill it. And then he gets the charge on the other Blight, I want to say. No, he does not charge the other Blight, sorry. One of the Lachilodons does take a pot shot at that weapon team, the one with 5 wounds, and kills it. And then I think that's about it. Then we go on to my turn 5. I charge into the Fire Elementals with my Shock Troops, do a couple wounds, but don't drop them, because I have... No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I backed off. Yeah, his turn 6 then starts. I have both my wizards I have one wizard in the wood, one by the wall, because, again, I shot at the Gekota with 10 Lightning Bolt, and they don't have cover now because of how I moved the Blight in that turn, but yeah, I do another 5-ish wounds, and then I snake the break check, so they're still fine. His turn 6, he charges into the Inspired Wizard that's in the woods, with both the Fire Drake and with the Gekkodas Skyriders. They easily kill him. So he has 1 eliminate point to my 0 right now. And then otherwise he charges into, he sends the Fire Elementals into my Shock Troops that had backed off. But from where he's charged me, the Rhinosaurs can't actually get there. And maybe the Rhinosaurs go to finish the Blight. I'm sorry, I can't really remember that part. Anyway, my turn 6 rolls around, and I have very few units left, and so I just go for a Hail Mary Lightning Bolt into the Gekota, because I need this to hit to tie it up on victory points. I hit with 1, I wound with 1, and I finally break them. So the Gekota Skyriders are dead, we both have 1 eliminate token, so that's great. And then we roll off for a turn 7 roll, and we get a turn 7, and my opponent looks at me and just goes like, yeah, I think I just sort of want to have a beer. Would you prefer to do that? And I agree, and we just sort of pass. But yeah, I'm very, very thankful to Adam here. I was kind of a sourpuss at the end of the game, and in the middle of the game, for that matter. So yeah, it was just kind of a sourpuss in this game because I was rolling pretty poorly, but it just didn't matter, right? Like I was getting upset about rolls in a game that was irrelevant, right? This army's not about rolling; it's just about taking up space. So thanks to Adam for dealing with my nonsense. And in fact, I forfeit on turn 4 this time, but I quickly took it back because I realized that was me being ridiculous. Yeah, I actually really like the army. I think it was pretty fun. I'm gonna tweak with it, or I'm gonna play with it a bit more. I'm not sure about the demon spawn here. Yeah, maybe it's a good idea, but I just think it's too many eggs in one basket. I think I really should just get as many bodies onto the table as possible, or maybe I can split that 200 plus points into 2 reasonable bodies. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you for listening, and if you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and thanks for watching.